So the last objective that we'll be going over today is how to create a graph of a quadratic function with no x-intercepts. A function with no x-intercepts is the same as we could say that function cannot be factored the same way we used to do it with our four squares. So for us to easier understand it, let's take a look at one of the function that has no x-intercepts. So from the beginning we know, once we look at this function, is that our c, which is our y-intercept, it always takes a place here. And in this function, our y-intercept is 10. And we know that right away. This can somehow help us later in order for us to build and find points on the graph when we will be graphing. Our next thing that we need to do is to make it factorable by doing 10 equals x squared plus 2x plus 10. By making this function equal to its y-intercept. And after that, we need to put that function, equation, into a zero property. So 10 minus 10 minus 10. We cross that out, we get 0 equals x squared plus 2x. Now, we eliminated the parts of the equation in order for us to be able to factor it. Now we can use the same concept, except the double squares, we use 1 and we plug in x squared here and 2x here, so x 2. By this we get an equation of x plus 2. Now, from this equation here, it is easy for us to find out our x values, and by that we will be doing, so this x equals to 0, and then this x we can go equals to 0 minus 2, x equals negative 2. So we get our two x values here, and by those two x values we can find our vertex that we will really need for our graph, so that later on we can use the line of symmetry and etc. So let's follow along that. So once we know those, the way we find our vertex is 0 plus our negative 2 divided by 2, which gives us negative 1. That's our y, that's our x. Now we plug in our negative 1 into our original equation, which was x squared plus 2x plus 10. And we get plus, so 2 plus 2, negative 1, plus 10 equals 0, equals y, y. And our answer is 9, because 1 squared 1, blah blah, and then we get our answer for y is 9. So our vertex is y is negative 1, 9. Now we know two points on the line, and we can use those 2 points for our graph that we're going to use right now. So our first one is up is our y-intercept, which was 0 and 10. Let's find that on our graph, which is, let me zoom in, which is right about here. Now, our vertex that we found here is -1 and 9. So let's find that on our graph. -1, 9, which is somewhere around here. Now, we can use the line of symmetry or the axis of symmetry in order for us to get a more accurate graph. This is our line, so 1 point from here, 1 point from there. And from this, we already know that our function will be doing our parabola shape. And there you go. You can see by this graph that it does not interact with any of the x-intercepts because it does not touch the x-axis, and it is a graph with no x-intercepts. And by knowing the vertex and by figuring out our y-intercept, we can already find another point in order for us to order our graph.